Let's Talk Horses, Life and Living podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Watt, and our guest this week is the amazing Tasmin Maher. Thank you so much and welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. I feel lucky to be able to talk to you.
Oh, thank you so much. I saw your Instagram handle is Tassie, and I love that. I don't know, it's such an Australian thing where everyone has a nickname in Australia. So I thought I had to throw that in as well, that you're a Tassie. It's very cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think my known nickname.
So tell us, Tasman, how did horses come into your life?
So my parents weren't born into horses, but I know my mom, when she was younger, she her mother could afford one lesson a month with an aunt. So she basically, I think, for a few years rode with her and then gave up when she was older. And then my oldest sister got a riding lesson for her birthday at 12 years old. So then the whole family started riding after that. Wow. And then, I started earning pocket money by coaching young kids at, I think, 13 years old. I already started. So,
wow.
It was the beginning of my whole life.
Wow. And so you were coaching at 13. So do you remember like your first time riding a horse? Like, was it a lesson, or did you go like on a trail ride or with a friend's horse? Or
so the first lesson I had is actually the property we now own. We bought it from the original owners, and I was 7 years old. So my first pony I ever rode or went to my first show on, her name was Miss Muffet. She actually just passed away. She stayed with us. I mean, it's over 20 years. I think she passed away now at the age of 35, eating her dinner. So I think she was really happy till the end. But yeah, that was my first riding lesson, my first show on Miss Muffet, 7 years old.
Wow, that is amazing. And so was it almost like the moment you had your first lesson with Miss Muffet, the first time you met her, did you know there was a future in horses for you? Was it kind of like one of those moments where you were like, I never want to get off. I just want to do everything on horseback from now on?
I think I was very lucky that, in the sense, there's never been pressure from our parents to ride, but I've loved it. But I don't think there's ever been, I've never put pressure on myself to be a top competition rider. I just loved it. And I love winning. So it never mattered to me. It never mattered to me actually what level I rode at. As long as the feeling the horse gave me was happy and the job was easy, I enjoyed it. So I think that's actually what helped with my success, is that it was never a show jumping for me is my main thing that I do. It was never a height. I never chased heights. I just chased what the horse was comfortable at, happy at, and what I could win at. And then I was like super happy.
That's so cool. And I love that you admit to that too, like that you just enjoy the feeling of winning. Like it's such a cool thing to be aware of, where it's like, because, a lot of people have a thing about competition and being competitive because it means you have to, compete with other people, or, not necessarily, but some people see it as a way that you've got to be better than someone else or something like that. But the way you put it, that I just really love winning, I think that's because you can apply that to everything, right? Like that's life. Like life is about waking up every day and winning the day, just going to bed at night. Exactly like you said, that feeling you have when you're on your horse and your horse is like, yes, and you're like, yes. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're jumping, you're doing whatever. It's kind of so similar. And this is what I love about horses, is it's so similar to life. When you go to bed at night and you're like, nailed it. I just won that day. That was just amazing.
Yeah, and I feel grateful because every day I'm working with the horses and I feel like I love my job and I love my life. But I think it's just because I love the horses.
Yeah. Yeah. And talk about like a dream childhood. It's like with it, like, because I find a lot of similarities in my life with the people I speak to. And I wasn't born into horses at all. Like no one in my family. My brother rides a bit now, but like I was like this, it's a little bit different to your story, but I was, just to put in my little bit of my thing, I was the weird kid that was like, how can I do something and have us go near the horses. Like there was never a thing where, you know, a lot of people you meet have that opportunity of being born into it. So can you just talk a little bit more about how it was that you guys went from, like, you know, you said your mum had some lessons when she was young and then your sister had a lesson and now you own a horse facility? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So my parents were never into, like, it was never a thing that they were stable yard owners. They were in advertising, actually. But then we got, you know, I have two sisters, so each of us had a pony, and then my mom got a horse, and then my dad got into it and he got a horse, and then they ended up buying the property but renting it to another rider who she ran the whole stable yard, and we just had the 5 stables and she coached us. And then she moved her setup to her own private place. And I remember clearly my mom saying, we had 21 horses. I think it was like 5 of our own, and then we had some liveries and maybe like 2 riding school ponies. And I remember her clearly saying, this is enough. I don't want any more horses in this. Now we got 100 horses. So it's a bit different now.
That's amazing. Wow. And are you the head instructor at your stable?
Yes.
Wow.
So I am, and then I ride mostly the morning, about 10 horses, and then I coach in the afternoons.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's amazing. And what you're about, how old are you now? 25 or something? So this has been
28.
what? 28. Yep. So about
Yeah.
14, 15 years or something like that. Wow.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Don't
I'm just sorry, you go.
Yes. I
You go.
don't think it was initially, it wasn't really. I didn't think it would be my career. Like I said, I just loved it. And I think I even had a coach saying to me the once that she felt I was lazy because I'd get my older sister on my horse, school my horse, and then I would take it to like an eventing competition and go win. And she was like, you lazy, you not the one training your horse. And I was like, but I love it. Like I'm having fun. Like surely that's the most important part. And my older sister was actually, all of us kids we coached to earn our pocket money, and she was more serious. She rode seriously, coached seriously, and then she had a riding accident, and then I had to take over all her work. And I think it was only when I took over all her work that I was like, oh, this is actually something I love and I'm serious about doing.
Wow. And how long ago was that? How old were you then? Do you remember?
I think I was 16.
Wow.
16. But I also got
Wow.
lucky. I got lucky with my first open competition horse. It was, yeah, I mean, we had initially tried to buy a horse. We bought a thoroughbred off the racetrack and brought him up, and we bought him just solely on breeding, and I wanted to do a production job of my own young horse. I'd never done it before and I wanted to do it. I was 16. And he died of colic on Christmas Day. I think we had him 4 months, and he died of colic on Christmas Day. And then I wasn't like, I think I was a bit heartbroken about that. And we got a phone call from a vet 3 months later. And she was like, no, there's this thoroughbred on the track. He doesn't want to run. He just wants to jump. He's jumping all the paddock fences. So I think my mom was in a bit of a state because she was like, you know, I've lost the horse, so she's a bit heartbroken. I'm a bit heartbroken. So she took me with the horse box to go and look at this horse with the horse box. So we were coming home with no matter what. And I saw him at the track and put him in the horse box. And on the way home, I was looking at his passport, and he turned out to be the brother of the horse that I had died.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then he was like my top young rider horse. He jumped up to the 135s, winning a lot. And so I think I got lucky with that. Maybe it wouldn't also, if I didn't have a top horse, maybe it also wouldn't have been my career. I don't know.
Wow. Wow, that's so cool. And so can you talk a little bit about that journey then of taking a horse fresh off the track? I mean, you literally went to the track and picked him up in your horse box and brought him home. Like, what did that experience teach you? Or can you remember some cool parts about taking a horse that, and I mean, they're very highly trained athletes, right? Like they've got a career of running. And I mean, obviously, you know, he loved to jump already anyway, but do you remember some of the cool parts of bringing him into a jumping career?
Yeah, I think probably now I wouldn't have been like, now I'm a little bit more conscious of like taking my time with him, spending a lot more groundwork with him and bringing them into work a bit slowly.
Yeah.
But when I'd gotten this horse off the track, in my head, I was coming off ponies. And I was
Yeah.
like, everybody tells you when you're moving from a pony to a horse, it's different. Like, you have to, you can't just hop on it without a saddle and canter around, and it's more serious. And I was adamant that I was not changing the way I rode my ponies to the way I was riding a horse. So I got on it bareback and I took it eventing, and I think I did some hunt on it, and it was like 5 years old, and I was blowing a horn and galloping the back of the group, and I had no clue, absolutely no clue. But I mean, I think I was lucky. I had a good mind, and I didn't put pressure on him for competition, and I think that helped. I think, yeah, I think nowadays you probably struggle because there's too much pressure on competition and the production of young horses, and it's probably where a lot goes wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And also, I guess because your energy and who you are is very much the joy of it. And I think when a horse is fortunate enough to have a rider or an owner that is a very joyful horse rider, I think for them it creates such a different world for them as well, because they don't I don't know, it kind of matches more their energy. It's almost like they're like, I'm with this person who is happy and is going to treat me well, and I can be myself, be a horse, and this person's going to take care of me and have my back, and we're going to have fun together. Like, it's such a different world than when it becomes, like you said, the pressures of bringing horses along and meeting very strict and tight deadlines on things as well.
Yeah, I think I've had a bit of a roller coaster with it. I think,
Uh-huh.
that's how I started. I did it because I loved it. And then I was obviously jumping at open level, and I'm like, now I gotta do a production job on more horses, and I wanna be riding at the top now with all these horses. And I I know, like, I had Warwick Schiller out here in SA. He came and did a clinic, and at the
Wow.
time, I still have the horse now, but I think he must have been about 4.5, 5, very sensitive, warm blood. And I remember working with Warwick on the ground, and I hadn't really, you do, like, I've done a bit of the Monty Roberts stuff, and I think in South Africa, we lack it a lot.
Yeah.
I know Australia is really big in it, but I think South Africa, we really lack it. So I had done a bit of the Monty Roberts stuff, and I was trying to understand how to help this horse that was so sensitive. And then Warwick helped me a bit. And, it was the first time about learning to move the hips and move the shoulders and things to look at. And even then, when he had come out, I would do it differently now. Still, even now, I would do it differently. But I went through this roller coaster of actually a lot of pressure. I have so much hours in a day. I need to ride so many horses in a day. I need to coach so much, and I have arena lights, so I ride till 8 o'clock at night if I haven't finished horses in time in the morning. And it became too much pressure. And then about beginning of last year, this young horse that I had previously worked with, Warwick, he had jumped his first meter 50,
Oh,
and
wow.
he had a suspensory injury,
Mhm.
and I had to rest him and rehab him, and I started everything from ground level. And now he's a 12-year-old I've had since he was 4 years old, and I started him right from the beginning. He's always been sensitive. And then I stopped wearing a watch because I had put so much time pressure on everything that I was like, I had to realize that I had to ride with more feel and I'm super time sensitive. I'm like on the half an hour. I need new horses. I'm working horses, and now I'm probably run late in my day. And if I don't get time to ride a horse, then I ride it at night, and still no time pressure. And I think that's made a difference. But I think as like a young and upcoming rider, I think you're probably going to go through it. You're probably going to go through, like, you love it, you over pressurize yourself, you put too much time on it, and then you kind of have to maybe step back and relook at it and slow it down. And so I feel now much better than like a year ago, I think I've learned so much just in the space of rehabbing a 12-year-old horse that I've had since it was 4.
Yeah. And so when was it that Warwick was out, like timeline wise? How long ago was that?
I think it was 2019,
Yeah.
2019
Okay.
or 2018,
Yep.
end of 2018 maybe.
Cool.
And even now, so I was in Australia in November last year for Equitana,
Hmm.
and I'm also good friends with Warwick's son. I spoke to him a bit and Will Rogers a bit about this particular horse. And like the training has changed so much. I don't know, from what I experienced, I went to Equitana now twice. So last year and then 2 years back. Even the change in trainers from Equitana the 2 years back to last year has changed so much. It's more, yeah, reading the horse and taking your time and being conscious of horses. Like, are they accepting or are they just shut down? And and I think there's a huge difference in that.
And what do you think has been the main contributing factor to that change? Because I totally agree, and it feels like we're right in the midst of like this big change of focus in it's kind of across the board in a lot of industries as well. What do you believe the driving factor of that change is?
I think maybe just people realizing that there's more to it than what their idea of a good outcome should be, like for me personally, I would love to jump a 150 class, but I want to jump it on a happy horse. And
Yeah.
it has to be something that feels right to me. And that ends up being more important to me, I think. And I think that's how other people are finding it too, that when they feel what a happy horse feels
Yeah.
like you get so much more joy out of it, even if it's just walking your horse and it's not getting on your horse. And like this particular horse that was so difficult, he wouldn't eat grass with me on his back. That's not
Mm,
normal. Like that's not
mm,
right. But if
mm.
especially here in South Africa, it's a bit like slow in the idea of that. Like trainers are just sensitive, like let it eat when you're on the ground. But it's not the joy I get when I'm on my horse and it's like got its head on the floor and eating grass. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is incredible. So relaxed. So I think that's it. I think it's when people
Yeah.
feel what feels happy, you naturally just happy.
Yeah.
And maybe
And
with social media and podcasts and people are there's a lot more place to learn.
yeah. Yeah, and I think once you've experienced that with a horse, you can never not like it never leaves you. So it's like
Yeah.
you have that like moment of like, and like you said, it could be anything that you're doing with them, and you're like, wow, you're completely comfortable with me. You trust me. We've got this like connection going on. And then the moment you're with a horse and that's not there, you're like, okay, you almost start seeking it out. You're like, what do I need to change here in order to have that? Because it becomes like such a fulfilling feeling to feel that, because to me that's like true connection with your horse when you're
Yeah.
happy and they're happy, and it's almost like you're part of their herd, or like whatever, like however you want to put it, but it feels like you belong together, sort of thing. And I think once you've had that, it's very hard then when you don't have it, you just naturally want to get back to it and find what it will take for that horse to have that with you. Yeah.
And I think majority of us, we start riding because we love it and we
Yeah.
love the horses. So
Yeah.
I think, you know, you 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 try to make things better
Yeah.
because you genuinely love it. So I think that helps. Yeah, and I think the feeling I get, just like the coach that coaches me show jumping, she's so good. She's retired from competition riding now, but she's so good and she's taught me riding wise when you ride a horse straight and you ride them balanced, how they relax and they're
Yeah.
happy and they're comfortable. And I think a lot of top level riders, they without realizing it are riding horses straight and in balance and they're naturally relaxed. So they might not never go through what I've had to go through as a, you know, amateur rider wanting to be professional and trying to learn to feel it and learn to ride it and not, you know, and not have the money to buy a top horse that's already been taught in a way that's balanced and straight. And I've had to get a thoroughbred who's never not bred to show jump to try and show jump, and then do production jobs on most of the horses that are difficult that no one wants to ride, and I have to do it. So I've had to learn to teach balance and straightness and feel, and then feel what a relaxed horse is.
Wow. There's so many areas I want to go to. Just quickly with the pressure thing, like, so because one of the questions I'd sort of looked at to talk to you about was how you handle pressure, because obviously, you know, there's a lot of pressure as an athlete of any sport. Obviously, I mean, for me, horse riding, it's a whole nother world, because it's not just you, it's not just your body that you need to get good. You've got this whole other creature there with you that you're also working with and responsible for in a way. But I did want to ask you a little bit about how do you handle pressure when it comes up? And then also, like, do you perceive pressure more externally, like you feel the pressure from outside, or are you the sort of person that puts more pressure on yourself more so than giving a crap about what anyone else thinks of you, sort of thing?
I think I'm lucky in the sense that I am quite a calm person.
Yep.
And I'm laid back in the sense, like, if I have a bad distance to a jump, I will just look up and kick and pray a little bit and be like, oh, I hope I get over it all right. And I've had the balance of having a coach who is very accurate and very strict, and has had to, like, guide me in a way that I need to ride more, not for perfection, but the idea of perfection. And then
Yep.
my personality is okay with not being perfect. So I
Cool.
think that helps me, because I like to win, but
Yep.
I I love the job more. So
Cool.
even if I don't win a class, I want to go into a class and definitely have a shot at winning every single time. But I've also learned you choose when to put that pressure on. I'll never try and win a first class of a show. I always try and win the last class of a show, and understand that my horse won't cope with 250% pressure throughout the whole show, and try and just only put the 250% on the last class. And then even if I have a pole, I gave it a shot, and I probably had a good show anyway, even with a pole. So yeah, I think I put the pressure on myself, but it's not I don't think it's in an unfair way. I think it's in quite a regulated way.
Yep. Yeah. And how do you have, like, ways to, like, when you're feeling the pressure, like whether it's before an event or, whatever it is, do you have like your own self checking mechanism or something like that? Do you have things that you specifically do to cope with that pressure, or is it just more your personality really shines through and it's something that you just, deal with yourself, if that makes sense?
I think I have two things I do. So I'm religious, but a lot of people aren't religious, and I do coach riding too. So I think you can say it however you want to say it. So what I like to say is, like, I put a bubble around myself before a show. So you put your bubble around yourself, your horse box, going to the show. Yeah, I think I ask God, please just look after me and my horse, that I have a safe ride and a safe trip home. Not about winning, but just safe rides, safe home. And that's like putting yourself in this bubble of just being safe and being okay. And then I'm quite strict, especially with a main class, that I like to walk the track twice if I can. If there's time, I'll walk it twice. And then to just try and be a bit quiet and breathe and focus before a class, and try and give myself a calm space to before I get onto a horse before main class, and then hope that I ride well and the horse goes well. I work for this trainer in Holland. His name's Tim Lips. He's ridden on the Dutch Olympic team. and he said to me, you have to have, on the day, you have to ride perfectly. Your horse needs to be perfect. Your coach needs to be perfect. And then you need a little bit of luck. And I like that because I felt like there's a lot of aspects to winning a class, but I like that little bit of luck. You do need a little bit of luck, to win a big class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the bubble thing too, because I think it creates also this space where, yeah, like you feel like you have this space of trust with something, and whether it's God or whatever it is that you believe in, like I feel like it's so nice to have something outside of us that we can ask for help, or to send us, like whatever it is for you, like to send you a bit of luck, or to watch over you, or whatever that is too. Like because I'm a very self-sufficient person. Like I'm like you, I tend to just take care of things, but then there's times as well where it's nice to think, okay, where can I ask for that contribution, for that help from the outside source of something too, and feel, yeah, like taken care of. I think that's really cool. So as a coach, then, you talk a lot about your coach and how, that's really contributed to you because of the way that your coach coaches you. What sort of coach are you? How do you coach your students, and what do you draw from being a teacher as well and a coach?
Okay, so recently it's quite interesting because I've taken over some young riders who like really beginner riders, and I've only 4 years now coached riders who own their own horses. Now I'm coaching kids on riding school ponies, and it's been interesting to see the change, to coach somebody who's jumping a 130 track to now teaching somebody how to ride a circle. I think I like the balance between the two, because these young riders that I'm coaching they love it. So, for them to canter one straight line, the joy that they have in riding is like unbelievable. They're so excited about it. And I think it makes it easy to coach that. And then the level of, the higher level competition riders, I take a lot of enjoyment out of the technical side of it, but I still find the importance of them trying to become horsemen, and I don't. I encourage the groundwork and the you know understanding the horse that today is, ride the horse that you have today. I think Warwick says that. And to be okay with the fact that it doesn't matter that you jumped a big class on the weekend. If your horse is struggling over something simple, it's okay. Just take your time with it and be okay with it. I think it's easy for me to coach the riders. I think it's harder to work with the parents sometimes.
Yeah.
Because the parents are not, it's easy from the ground to not understand that sometimes you've got to jump a big class and then you've got to go back to a small class, and to try explain that is quite difficult for me. I think if you don't feel it and you don't ride it. But I think I have that good balance between trying to be technical, that my coaches really drilled into me, to also being okay with just enjoying your ride and not being so perfect, and being okay with, I also teach people who are like real perfectionists, and that's not good for riding, because you're never going to be perfect. So accept it, be okay with it, and just try be better every day.
Yeah.
And that's a harder part. I think that's harder to coach, is coaching people who are perfectionists, because it's never going to happen.
Yeah. There really is no such thing as perfection. So it's like, it's nice to think about and to be like, okay, I'm going to strive for that. But I think it's there's something fun in being like, I'm going to strive for perfectionism, but I know it's like this unattainable goal, but have fun along the way. I think that's so cool as well with the getting involved with kids when they start out, and that, well, the amateur riders, the younger and more inexperienced riders, because I think it's also such a critical part of the journey of riding horses. I mean, you hear so many stories about people learning, and especially kids, and having like very harsh teachers to begin with. And then inevitably something comes undone. You have an accident or something goes wrong. And I think when you've got a good foundation with a good coach, it's so much easier also to bounce back from the pitfalls of riding than it is if it's something that you almost get nervous or you start dreading because your coach is so on you about everything as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a good reminder is that they're starting and they're riding because they love it.
Yeah.
So what are the, of the 60 people I'm going to coach in a week, how many are going to become professionals? Not many are going to. You're lucky if one child maybe is going to choose it as their profession. So that's not what I'm not there to teach them to be professionals. I keep it in the back of my head that they're doing it because they love it. So they must continue loving it. And I think they'll learn better that way.
That's so cool. That's really cool. So tell me a little bit about your competition career. Have you traveled much outside of South Africa with your riding yet? Like where have you competed?
So only competition in South Africa.
Yep.
I took a gap year and I worked a bit in Holland for Tim, but just as a groom and help with some riding. And then I think it was 2 years back, I went to Holland again and I worked for an Irish guy there. And he did offer me a full-time job as a competition rider for the young horses, but I declined because I can own horses here in SA. And I think it's difficult for me. I can go to Europe and I think it's an incredible place to be, but you're going to ride a lot of horses that are going to get sold. And yeah, it's 6 days a week, whether I'm working here 6 days a week or I'm working in Europe 6 days a week as a work rider or groom, that's what you're doing. So then the lifestyle here is better for me. I can own a horse. So I had a horse arrive yesterday, which I'm very excited about. It's come from Holland, and it's half owned by me and half owned by a rider and a trader in Holland. And he convinced me to buy it. Well, I said no, and then we managed to do he was like, he'll go half, I go half. I ride it for 2 years and make a decision. So that arrived yesterday, and I'm a bit overwhelmed because I feel like it's probably be the best horse I sit on in my life. Wow. So I'm very excited. I want to ride at top 150 level. I think there's some South African riders now that have taken some horses over to Europe to try and compete. It's just expensive. It's very expensive. It's, and I feel like if I'm not top of the level in South Africa, I'm not even going to touch sides of the level in Europe. So I'm okay. I've got a lot that I'd like to do here and ride here, and I've got good horses that I'm excited to be riding. So, yeah, I think maybe one day something like taking the horse over, if I could win a World Cup series here and take it over, wow, that would be incredible. But yeah, it's not on the top of my list of things to do.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds like your life there is very fulfilling and very busy. And like what you said, I think when you get to that level of international competition, it does negate a lot of other things. I guess probably you'd have to give up a lot of the things that you really love as well, and put a lot of your, money, time and focus on, a few horses and really pushing yourself and the horses to get to that level too. So it's interesting in life, the things that we really enjoy, and I think it's so important to have like that variety and have those things in your life that you wake up every day and you've got that choice of like going out there and doing, like you said, doing the job you love and enjoying what you do every day.
Yeah, and I love it, and I think there has to be riding at that level in Europe, if you're riding for someone,
Mm.
there's you have to be really committed and really I'm committed here and I love it here, but I think it's a lot of commitment to give to never own a horse. I think
Yeah.
that's the hardest part for me
Yeah.
because you'll never like have a full say in what happens with that horse and you and it's okay. You be accepting that maybe you're gonna sell it. You know, I've got some horses I'm sitting on that I already at the back of my head, I'm like, okay, I understand if they'll get sold, that's fine. But if I choose not to sell it, I can choose not to sell it. I
Yeah.
think that's the difference. And I think,
Yeah.
and it's because I love it so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And so tell me a little bit about, like, is there other things in your life that you enjoy when you're not doing horses, or is it just horses, horses, horses 24/7?
So yeah, most of the time it's horses, 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 24/7. But I love exercising. So and I think that's helps me obviously with the riding. But I go to boxing classes in the week. There's like a gym that I go to, a private gym, and I do that, and I love it so much. I think I like the social aspect, and if I can run, I'm entered into a race in July. I think it's 10 kilometers or something. I'll never run far because I'm not going to train for it. So if
No.
there's a race I'm running, it's not going to be a far one. So I like that stuff just for the enjoyment of being out and being active. And I think I could never be in an office job like at all. And we're in winter now in South Africa. And even with 2 pairs of pants on, I'm still like, oof, I still not sure I could be in an office job.
No, you'd rather be out, even if it's freezing cold or raining. It's like, at least I'm outside.
Yeah, yeah.
I can take
And
shelter with
yeah,
the horses when I need to.
totally. And to wake up with them and stay on the property. So wake up with them, you hear them getting their breakfast in the morning. You're like, yeah, perfect. So a great life to have.
Yeah, and there's no timeline, like you said. You can choose your day, you can choose what you do when in your day. You
Mm.
get to be that autonomous with your life, and you can work until 10 o'clock at night if that's what you want to do. You can start your day, before the sun comes up. Or yeah, it's very fortunate, I think, when you can build your life to very much be, and your work to be very much your life, like this combination of things where it becomes blurred. There's not really a place where your work ends and your life begins. It's all just in there together.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I think it is like that. I think you have to be conscious of not overdoing it
Yeah.
because it's very easy to be at a show every single weekend and then there's no day off with horses. If you got a sick horse 10 o'clock at night, it's normal, you have to be there. So that becomes, I think, a bit difficult because there's no switch off from it. As much as you love it, you also have to see people and talk to people outside of just owning and riding horses because it's very easy to get roped into that. And I
Yeah.
think most of my best friends don't ride horses.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's
So
very
I
cool.
think, yeah, there has to be some type of balance. I'm
Yeah.
not very good at it, I must be honest, but there's supposed to be some type of balance.
But at least you're aware of it, though. Like, how many people don't even, they're just like completely blinkers on and focused. At least you're aware of, like, okay, it's been 7 straight days with the horses now. I better go out and actually
Yeah,
socialize and
and
maybe have a meal. Or
I spoke to one trainer on the weekend. I think he's been to like shows for the last like 30 weekends in a row or something ridiculous. And I was like,
wow.
geez, that's insane, But it's easy to be like that in
Yeah.
this environment. And I think a big part that's helped me is not riding with a watch. I think I
Yeah.
said to you that I don't ride with a watch anymore because it's just I get too hectic about how much I need to fit in a day, and
Yeah.
then and horses don't work on that timeline. So the moment you are too strict on time, it goes wrong. I say to my kids all the time when they come and ride, you're having a bad day. Don't ever think that you're going to get on your horse and it's going to make it better. Like, doesn't work like that. The energy you're going to bring to them and you get on them is exactly what they're going to give straight back to you. So rather don't get on for me, you know. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people, they don't think like that. They think, oh, I've had a bad day, I have to go see my horse, it will make it better. Like, they don't owe you anything. They're not going to make your day better for nothing. If anything, they're going to be more difficult when you ride.
And
Yeah.
it's so cool. That's such good advice too, to be like, if you are having a bad day, it's like, rather than, having the horse fix it for you, it's like, what can the two of you do together that would be fun, that's not even necessarily riding? Like, it's like, okay, some days I'm like, I'm going to ride my horse today. And then I go to catch them or something. And you can just tell it's just off. I'm like, this is just not even like, it's not sitting right somewhere. So I'm like, okay, well, what can we do instead? Like, maybe just go for an in-hand walk somewhere and we'll find some really nice grass that you never get to eat. And I get to sit down in the sun and enjoy listening to you munch away on the grass. And then you end up having a better day, because it's like you share this moment rather than having the pressure on yourself. Is there any, that's so cool with giving that to your kids when coaching? Is there any other pointers and things like that you give to them that you see contributes to them having a better relationship with their horses and with themselves?
Yeah, I've it's been quite a tricky one for me. I think I'm quite a laid back person. So I
Yeah.
struggle, like, I'm not one that will really struggle with anxiety or huge amounts of stress, or like, it doesn't, some people are like, that energy just projected by them straight away. And I've had to learn how to coach that a little bit, because you see somebody walk to their lesson, and I've really picked it up now, and they're late, and they're constantly late. And it's almost at that, now I've learned it's an anxiety thing. Now, I'm not saying for everyone, but I've definitely picked up some people, if they know they're going to be late, they're actually more late because they're so stressed about being late that by the time they get on their horse, they're like totally freaked out. And I've
Wow.
learned to, like, I don't say anything. Now I'm really laid back. I'm like, it's okay, it's fine. If we have to end the lesson early, I'm not going to stress about it. And it's helped them so much with it. But I've tried to, I try to learn to read people, and I've spoken to parents, because I'm also coaching young riders, and that their emotions are like roller coasters, to tell me if a kid is not having a good day. Just pre-warn me, because it's not like, I'm not a psychologist, I'm a horse riding coach. So I still, if I need a pre-warning that you haven't had a good day, just let me know. And I've picked it up with riders. If they're not having a good day, I just tell them to leave my lesson and go for a walk, if that's what they need,
Yeah.
rather than trying to do an exercise that they're going to get frustrated over. And
Yeah.
it's definitely not going to be the horse's fault. So don't do it. Just come back tomorrow and hopefully you're better and we try again. And I think that has helped. It has helped. But I still feel like I'm still learning, learning to manage different people and different personalities. And yeah, same with the horses. Still
Yeah.
learning about them
Yeah.
too.
Every
Yeah.
day, every moment of every day, I'm like, I'm learning something from my horse. It's so funny when you were saying that. I've got a good friend who lives in the United States. He runs a ranch in Houston, and we ride together a lot when I travel over there. And he's like, Sarah, if you ever have a bad ride, just remember it's never the horse's fault. And I'm like, it's so true.
It's so true. It's so
It's
true.
so
And
true.
I've tried with our competition horses. Like, I never feel a horse will ever go out of its way to do something difficult.
Yeah.
And I think I've been lucky. A lot of all our horses are insured. So if there's ever an issue with a horse, you rule out pain straight away. Get them checked by a vet, get them checked by a physio, get them checked by a saddle fitter. And I I got sent a horse a year ago, and I knew nothing about the horse. My sister had seen it, and she had always felt like the horse would work well with me. And it spins. It spins on landing of a jump really,
Oh,
really
wow.
fast. So the previous rider had stopped riding it, and it was going to be seen to be retired. So my sister said, no, I need to contact them because I should get this ride on this horse. So they sent me this horse, and I worked with it for 2 weeks, and I fell off it in the second week. Spun so fast, I was already on the floor. And then I took everything off it, saddle, bridle, into a rope halter. Because another thing they said to me was I had to make sure somebody held it when I got on. And I thought,
Oh,
doesn't sound doesn't sound right, you know. So I started this as May last year, started with a rope halter now it's been a year. I did have a vet check it. The first vet that checked it, we maybe changed some shoeing. We x-rayed its back just in case because of the spinning. And I had a good feeling from the horse, so I feel like it's worth me riding it to maybe be a 150 horse for me to ride. But I started only competition this year on it. So that's from May last year to this year.
yeah.
Only this year with competition work, and I would truck it out and do all my rope halter work before I ride. And then I would get on it and actually warm up in a lunge arena because I was nervous of other horses. And I jumped it at a show, and still my gut said something doesn't feel right. It was in the combination, jumping in and out. And I said, I got to get another opinion on the horse. And we did a neck x-ray, and it had 2 vertebrae that are quite badly damaged. So
Oh,
we treated the 2 neck vertebrae. And I mean, like last week, so now we a full year in, it stands at the mounting block. I climb on, it puts its head on the ground, it's eating grass. And I'm like, this is a miracle. And I jumped at a show the other weekend, and it was unbelievable. But there was lots of pain that involved that whole spinning. You know, and the vet said on the jarring on landing, the pinching in the neck would cause extreme pain. So how do you know? You don't know unless, but it wasn't going out of its way to be difficult. It just
no.
had a problem,
Yeah.
that you just needed to find out about.
Yeah.
So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Isn't that great? And for you to not give up and just be like, no, there's still something here. We need to keep investigating. That's such a cool testament as such a great horse owner. And I'm sure that horse is so grateful that you're the one riding him and owning him now. That, oh, imagine the relief in his world when the neck thing got fixed and he's like, now I
yeah.
can just enjoy myself. Wow. Very
Yeah, and
cool.
I always say to the kids that ride with me, you don't have a relationship with a horse until you're 2 years in, like a true relationship, a true partnership. Like from all the horses I've ridden, I really feel like it's solid after 2 years. So I'm only 1 year in. So let's see.
Oh,
I've still got
let's
another
see.
whole year to get through.
A year from now, I'm excited. I'm excited to hear where
Yeah.
you guys go.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much. I would love to hear before we wrap up, like what's the future? Do you have like, are you the sort of person that has some goals in the future about what's next for you, or are you happy with the way things going? Like what do you kind of dream and aspire about in your future?
Definitely to jump some World Cup classes. I mean, I'm hoping I've got horses that I've got to do a production job and jump them. I mean, that would be unbelievable for me. I've got some young horses I've bred that hopefully they will also be up and coming. And then, yeah, just coach. I'm just happy to coach people who love riding. There's no pressure. I have no pressure on to feel like I have to do a production job on young riders to be top level riders. I think those come through. I think if they really want it, they'll come through and I'll be there to help them. But I'm not pushing for that. I think,
That's so
yeah. And I just love the riding. So hopefully, I really hope there's a big derby show. It's a 150 class. It's called the South African Derby. It's the biggest show that we have here.
Yep.
And I'm hoping next year I'll jump in the main class. Yeah, that's what I'd like to win that. I feel
Cool.
like
And
if
what
I've got
month is it? What month is the derby on?
October,
October
October.
2026.
Yeah, that's the
Wow.
plan. If this grey horse of mine stays sound, that's the one. And I feel like I got a really good shot, not just at jumping. I feel like if I jump it, I got a good shot at winning it.
Amazing. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be contributing to it and I'll be looking out. That's so cool. Wow.
Yeah, let's
Talk
hope there'll
about
be lots of popping of champagne if I
yes,
jump the class.
that's so good. Oh, and like thank you so much. This has been such a great conversation, and I've really enjoyed hearing, just the calmness and what you bring to this world. And I'm in my head, I'm like, damn, I wish I had a horse riding coach like you that was close to me. It's like, what would it take for me to find a Tasman in my area? Thank you so
I
much.
don't know. I'll come visit and I'll do a clinic your side.
Yes, let's do that. Let's do that. That would be amazing. Thank you so much, Tasman. This has been a really, really wonderful and refreshing conversation. I'm so grateful that you took the time to have a chat to us today. Thank you so much.
Pleasure anytime, and know that you can come visit. We got lots of lions, elephants, giraffes for you to come and see outside of all the horses.
Definitely. It's definitely on my list. If it's not this year, it's definitely going to be next year. I really need, I just feel like South Africa's pulling me right now. So let's
Yeah.
see if I can make it happen.
You can come
Thank
next
you
year,
again.
October, and come pop some
Yes,
champagne with us when I jump that big class.
maybe that's the timing. Exactly. Ah, wonderful.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening, everyone, and we will see you next time.